Hey everyone, Papercut here with a replay review 2-pack where I do 2 replay reviews and for each one I try to establish what went wrong and what your goal should be to work on in your upcoming games. This here we have Night Stalker 12. Excuse me. Night Stalker is someone that I have done these I've coached, I've done these replay reviews for. Great guy. He used to play Ottoman, now he's playing Japan. He is gold 2 currently in this season, and he just noticed that he's kind of struggled with Byzantine as Japan, which is very common. Byzantine's pretty good against Japan, and he wants me to look at the game and figure out what could have done better. So let's hop into it. And Itborn on the Byzantines is gold 3. Now, when I do replay reviews, I tend to watch from the player's perspective instead of doing like a casting view, because I want to see what they see, which helps me establish why they're making the decisions they're making. I do like that we immediately crossed over to check your opponent's base. I think something that we're starting to really feel ever since the changes to the cheap amounts is that you can actually dive a little bit farther than you used to when and be able to scout more of the map before you need to return. Especially as Japan, you can go on the he's going to go on the berries. So he did the early upgrade for berries and he's going to go on berries, which allows him to be a little bit more aggressive in scouting back gold and back berries. Well, it's very lucky for the Byzantine player. Back gold, back berries. One thing you can do though, so whenever I play Japan, one thing I like to do against Byzantines is a Dark Age Samurai Rush. And the reason being is because the Japanese economy pops so quickly if they're not messed with in early feudal. And something as simple as a tower rush and a few units can kind of set their tempo way off and give you an opening to either then attack in feudal or to rush castle, whatever you want to do. And so if you haven't seen that, check out my Japanese Dark Age Rush guide. And I'll link it on this video. I'll put it in the description, and give it a try against Byzantine. Test it out, give it a try. It can work against a lot of civs, but I specifically like to do it against Byzantine. And this is even though he has back berries, back gold. Imagine a tower right here. Tower right here cuts off both berries and gold. You have 2 or 3 samurai that are here defending it, and he'll have to spend the first 3 or 4 minutes of feudal deciding if he wants to burn it down, which buys you time to then do something. Do you want to keep attacking? Do you want to just rush castle? It puts you a little bit more in control. Going up the Kara Storehouse. 4 on that. Good villager splits. One thing you can do is, I don't know what you're going to open with, but I would, if you have 4 on gold, I'd pull 1 off the gold to wood, because you need so much wood early in feudal. So whether that is for a tower, whether that's for production, whatever you're going to end up doing, you don't need 4 on gold. In my opinion, you just need 3, and then you can add the 4th and the 5th once you get the tower up, if you're rushing castle. If you're just gonna play normally, then 3 on gold's a-okay. Let's say make sure we're maintaining villager production. I wasn't paying attention to that, so you're at 17. He's at 18, so you've missed the vill. That's bad. Like, the biz eco is much better than yours, and so losing even 1 villager can really matter. So just make sure you're consistent with your villager production. And I don't think you're actually behind the whole vill. I think you're behind a half a vill. Age of Pits, and we're rushing castle. Okay, so why is rushing castle against Biz tough? Well, Biz has a lot of defensive potential. If you rush castle, they can just make a bunch of units, defend the relics, and keep you pressured in even as you make castle units. And what you didn't know was that he actually opened up a hippodrome, so this actually allows him to be even more aggressive. And I can already tell, my guess is you're going to struggle to defend in action. No, he's going 2 TC. So my one piece of feedback for you would have been to scout the second you head back to your opponent's space the second you start agent to feudal, because you want to see what he aged up with. And if you had gone earlier, you would have seen hippodrome and second TC. And second TC, that's really interesting. You don't see Biz go second TC a lot, so that could have maybe changed around. Maybe you wanted to attack instead. But this also means that your fast castle is pretty free, so you can really go all in on it and not really worry about defending. Drop in a barracks because you saw the hippodrome, I'm assuming. I'm not a fan of dropping the barracks. Also, I think you missed the vill again. Here's why. If you're rushing castle against a 2 TC, a second TC, keep in mind, that isn't even that aggressive. He put it just right next to his original. You really want to go knights. Why do you want to go knights? Because knights give you more map control. You can be around the map more. If he makes horsemen, your knights will just beat his horsemen. And if you've been really hard rushing castle, you could be clicking up in 40 seconds, which does not give enough time to make enough units to attack and stop your castle. So the issue being is you have 8 on wood right now. If you're really rushing castle, what you would have wanted to do is immediately, once you get enough wood for a 3rd house and 1 production building, your stable, put every villager on food and gold, like 5 on gold, the rest on food, and rush castle, get to castle, and start making knights. And you're gonna make knights because even if he starts making spearmen or things like that, knights you can raid, keep them pressured, and then while you're doing that pressure, grab the relics and then go second TC yourself. And that's how you catch up economically wise. Or you could go into an all-in with knights and Anabagesha. But the point being is doing, it looks like you're kind of transferring into an attack. Are you? Oh, I'm not a fan of this. Here's why. If you really wanted to take advantage of the 2 TC and attack the second TC, that needed to be your plan from the jump. Instead, you wasted wood on a tower, and you're making 6 units out of a production building, which is no good. Instead, you really should have dropped a 2nd, even 3rd production building, and the way you're winning this is by going really into consistent unit production, because Japan wins by zerging, you win by having a lot of units. So you really need to go all in on just making units. 2, I would not have done spear Ana. That's because they're countered by the same thing, archers. So if you make both spears and Anabagesha, all he needs to do is make archers. Instead, you either do spearman samurai, or you do spearman horseman, or you do horseman Anas. Like, have things that help each other out. Or just pure samurai. He has nothing that counters samurai. So if you get enough samurai, you'll just walk over him. So yeah. But I don't like making 4 units out of production, 5 units out of production be like this. Just make more production. But I think you're actually kind of village, what's say? You're kind of playing into his hands here. Why are you rotating more towards gold? So it's always important to ask yourself, what do I need? Well, I'm attacking now. I've decided to drop production and I'm attacking. So what do I need? I need food. I need lots of food. So you don't need any more gold. You're floating gold. You should be on deer or sheep. And you should be taking the deer or taking food resources and not rallying more to gold, which you already have enough of. So one thing I think about is, what openings do you have? In this case, let's think of the opening. All his food and his gold are in the back, covered by a TC, but what's not covered. His wood is forward and open. I think one thing you could have done here, and where's his stuff? So it's important to ask yourself, what can I cut off? What does he need? He needs a lot of wood. He's gonna need to make farms, production, things like that. If you just drop the tower here, then he doesn't get any more wood. He either has to rotate here, which you can then attack, or either there's no more wood, he's gonna go down here. So whenever you see an open resource like this, feel free to take advantage of that. A tower to secure space and to force him off is always great too. So like towering here while attacking, I think would be really good. If you starve him of wood, things actually get a lot harder for him. So just consider that. Like, what resource can I cut off? Okay, now we're going to berries. That's good. More production. So like the key of this 8 on wood is that you are consistently adding more production. Whenever you can, another barracks, another barracks, another barracks. I like to start adding stables and adding horsemen because he's going to make archers at some point. 8 on gold. Look how much gold you're floating. You do not need 8 on gold. I know you want upgrades that can come more naturally. 8 on gold's gonna be, you're gonna float. I can already tell you, you're gonna float so much gold. See how he's towering? Even if he towers, if you tower here, your tower will still be able to shoot on his wood line. But this is also why samurai would have been really good here. More samurai could tank the arrow fire while still stopping the outpost, and you could just burn the outpost down. Like, instead of trying to kill the villagers, once you push them off turn and just burn the outpost down. All you can do is just immediately get siege engineering and just immediately drop a ram. Like, you have the resources for it, but the reason you're struggling to make units, specifically samurai, which I think is what you'd want to make, is just you don't have enough on food. 8 on gold, way too much. You need a lot of food, lots and lots and lots of food. So now you're just throwing units away. Let's see what the damage you've done. You're at 32 vills, but you keep forgetting to make some. He's at 37. So even you've potentially stopped. You've killed maybe what, 2 or 3 vills. He's starting to get longbows out, and now he's a tower up. and you have no units ready. I honestly, I would have preferred, instead of you trying to stop that tower with units that had no air defense, they did have air defense, but like were weak against arrow fire, just immediately research engineering, drop a ram, and push in right to the tower sun. If you pushed him with a ram with a unit mass, you'd be good to go. Instead, you've thrown away your unit mass, and now he is making units, so things are about to get a lot harder for you. So like, valuing your units is really important. You want to make sure you're not just throwing your units away unnecessarily. I think a picture of this tower, I think, represents that, not throwing your units away. Oops, let me get the full. Because I can already see this potentially turning from here. Like that, if you're going to go 1 TC against 2 TC, the first attack is really vital for damaging your opponent. And you just lost a lot of units that not completing much. Villagers, 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 villagers. There they are. We can't wait that long. He's on 2 TC. My wife just made fun of me. On video, I might say. But the point I'm trying to get across is you can't go that long without making villagers. When you are an opponent who's on 2 TC and is consistently making villagers, you're basically killing villagers while he's making them. It's like you're raiding for him. It is more like, if we type out the order of importance of what we complete, consistently making villagers is the top most important thing we are always doing. But just look at your resource splits. So much wood, so much gold, because on 8 on wood, the goal of 8 on wood is to consistently adding production. You have 2 production buildings, but you should have 8 on wood, like 5 on gold, and then like at this point, like 25 on food. Like you're just burning through food, and as you get extra wood, you can also just start dropping farms slowly. But it's supposed to be just, you're not making enough. That's the issue with this play. You can attack on a 2 TC, but you're not making enough units. Part of it is that you don't have the production for it. Did your scout die? So also reason when you want a stable. Oh no, your scout's still alive. Bring your scout with you. Here come the rams. Curious with this attack angle. No, you gotta send the rams in. So right now, so like, the point of this is you want the rams to be going in and doing damage while the archers are wasting their time. Like you need the rams to be doing damage during this time, killing the production, destroying the cisterns, things like that. Killing farms, that'd be great too. I would like you to drop the rams here and then set the rams in and just send your units in to cover the rams too. This is why stables is really important. Stables is really, really important because 4 or 5 horsemen here force these archers back and make life a lot harder for him and potentially force him to make spears. So once again, you want to add more production, and also I like mixing in horse with this comp. A comp of honest samurai and horseman, or just samurai and horseman. Samurai and horseman is a very, very strong comp. Because they cover each other's counters. Like mass archers is really the only way he can kill samurai. Horsemen get the archers. He needs to make spears for your horseman, while your samurai would slaughter his spears. So spear horseman is very good. It's very food heavy though, but once again, you can do that because you're on the food resources, and you should just be going pure food, and you should be able to do that. Yeah, attack with 3 rams, that's fine. Keep going, keep attacking, keep attacking. But here's where a lack of horsemen's really hurting you. Because you know you can't chase the archers, you have to protect the rams. Horsemen make this a lot easier. Because the horsemen are just chasing down his archers. You gotta... So that entire fight was an example how your comp was not fit. Now you're sending more units forward, which is great. But look at this. You have 13 units in queue. You did not have the production down. If you had the production down and were sending units across the map, that you could have won that fight. 2, you're missing a key comp component, which is the horseman. But even then, if all of these units were forward and you're making 1 unit out of each one of these production buildings, you would just be overwhelming him and killing his villagers as he aging up. Like that attack was it. You could have won on that attack. You just didn't have the production and you didn't have the right unit comp. And once again, let's look at your gold. 955 gold. See what I mean? You have too much gold you never adjusted to what you really need, which was food. You have deer right here. You could have pulled 5 vills off gold, put them on deer, and get all the rest of your upgrades as well. But to me, this was the biggest issue, is the lack of production and the lack of correct unit comp. That's why you have towers, you're good. You can't fly under both those TCs. This is good Vill kills. Good Vill kills, good Vill kills. That dive was good, but if he starts getting crossbows, isn't gonna. And now you have horsemen coming in. It's too late on the horsemen. He has a lot of towers and everything. Okay, you got him back to 44 vills, which is great. Look what's happening right now. You're not making vills. Where are the vills? At 43. I think you should be at 50. So you should actually have more vills than him right now. But your consistent not making of villagers is killing your eco. And killing the advantage that you should have. You should have an eco advantage here. Go castle. So you've done enough damage. At this point, you just need to go castle and get your units upgraded. If you continue fighting into feudal like this, feudal into castle, he's just going to get better units. Okay, there we go. Second TC, nice. Next thing you need is just get arrow to... You need the next arrow immediately. He's just going to mass... He's going to mass ranged. And then honestly, you have enough frontline. I would go super into horsemen. I would put 3 more stables down and do mass horsemen. No, here... So the issue being here is that he's going to just make crossbows. Crossbows are countering everything you have right now. He's 9, he's going to be making more. Just horsemen, just do horsemen. Range is the thing, is his main thing. If you just do horsemen, you're good to go. This is a good little raid though. That was a nice raid. Make sure you have 2 TCs, but you're not producing villagers out of them. Look at all that ranged. Honestly, mass horseman, like what do you see? Do we react to it? What did you see? You saw mass ranged. How did you react? By not making horsemen. You're making knights, which is fine, but like they'll get out massed and they're very expensive. You want to put your shear in the stable or in a forge. But also you saw mass range. So what do I need? I drove it. So when you see, what do you see your opponent have? How do you react? Well, he has a lot of range. I need range defense. I should get horsemen. And I should get mangonels. I know siege has changed, but like if he's doing pure ranged, 3 or 4 mangonels will do a dent in that ranged mass that then your horseman can clean up. You're not gonna wipe it like you used to, but you can do enough damage to allow your horseman to then do the cleanup. Also at this point, I would stop doing rams. I would just drop a siege workshop and just do like 2 or 3 trebs. You're getting raided. What's the plan on the raid? Because you're raiding him really well, but you're not reacting to his raid. 45, 42, 59. So that's biz production right there. He was way behind you, and then he just like caught up because of how good the cisterns are. And this is why I don't like playing against Byzantine on an even field like this, because they're just going to out-eco you. Not only that, you're not making villagers, and now you're losing them. Yeah, that's game. Alright, so to summarize what we should have learned from this game. 1, asking yourself what comp can I make that covers each other. Horseman and samurai cover each other. You can even add in spearman if he has a lot of horsemen. But in feudal, horseman samurai is really good. Or you can start off on a horseman and then move into samurai as you have more food. 2, eco balance. Asking yourself, what am I trying to make? Thus, what resources do I need? You were really low on food the entire time. And lastly, it's production. You did not have enough production. You weren't making enough units to actually take the fights that you wanted to make. And you were often producing early on like 8 units out of a single production building. And then once you upgrade this, you never got your Katana Bannerman, which is huge for your fighting. But I think you could have won that game on that push. You just didn't have the production. You didn't have the right unit comp. But your instincts were correct. Like, I like how you obviously doing fast castles, switched into fighting the 2 TC, and you honestly could have done it. But it was our reactions after that got us here. Hope you learned something from that, and let's move on to game 2. All right, we're in our second game of our 2 replay package here. We have Gear Moitz. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. He is a gold 2, playing HRE here. Now, the first thing I want to start with, Gear, I noticed you flip between 3 civs, HRE, Rus, and Zushi. And while playing all the different civs is a huge part of the game that makes it fun, my big suggestion is if you want to get better quickly, if your goal is to like rise ranks, you need to focus on one for a bit. That's because you have 2 things to learn. You have the game to learn and the civ to learn. And reducing the amount you have to learn helps speed up the learning in the other things. So if you want to get better at the game faster, I suggest focusing on one civ. And then when you reach like high plat or diamond, or if the game is getting boring to you, then switch to another civ. But in general, I suggest focusing on one for a bit, and I think you'll see faster growth that way. Now, if you're like, nah, like I really enjoy playing these civs, that's fine, but just know that it will probably delay how fast you rank up, because you have to consider every civ and every map with all of the different matchups that could be. So just a heads up. But here you are with HRE against Ottomans. I know this isn't the game you wanted me to look at, but unfortunately that game has disappeared after replay. So I just picked this one because it's the most recent. Let's get into it. So it's HRE versus Ottoman on watering holes. Wait, that's not what this is called. This is called Wetlands. This is a weird map. Not a lot of sheep, but a lot of food in the form of ponds, deer, things like that. Glad you immediately went out to the ponds. It's huge. Ponds are worth a lot of food. They gather really fast. So those of you who are not going to the ponds on this map, always open ponds first. And look at this. Your prelate can just sit between the two. It's really nice. Now against Ottomans, I feel like Fast Castle or 1 TC all in are your 2 best options. Fast Castle because you can grab the relics and just kind of outproduce Ottomans and just outmass them in Late Castle or Imperial. All in Feudal because your eco is much better than Ottomans, so you can just make more units and just overwhelm them. So that's my thought process on both those options. I'm fine with this Aachen Chapel. Honestly, you could have been greedier with it, because if you put it this close to the TC, you're kind of cutting off all the potential farm spaces. That would be where the TC is. You could also, if you put it up here, you would have got gold, deer, both woodlines. You could have walled in up here, walled in over here, and then had this huge expanse to both get resources, and then once the gold is burned through, and so is the deer and the wood, you have all this farm area right here. So I know you genuinely want to keep it close to the TC, but if you see this opportunity where the walling is there and there's all these resources and in the back of my base, I think you get a more aggressive Aachen right here. But it's very situational. This isn't a bad one per se, but you had this huge potential back here. And you keep scouting, because once you start aging up, that means your opponent's probably aging up, and you really need to go see what your opponent's opening up with, so you know what they're going to try to do. So for example, your opponent's opening it with the Twin Minaret, so they're going to go heavy into eco. They only have 1 on gold, so that's not a fast castle, and they have 2 on stone, so they're going to be making military schools and attacking. So seeing these things helps you decide how does that affect your plan. He's obviously going to be doing some sort of aggression. But you want to know that earlier, so when you start aging up, my rule of thumb is if you're aging up, go check what your opponent is doing. So you're dropping bear, so let's say you're going to fight, which is, I think, A-okay. That's an option. 6 on gold is too much, though. 6 on gold is too much. And don't do long range gather here, but down a mining camp. I would immediately get, since you have so much extra gold, I would immediately do wheelbarrow. And be careful where you're dropping buildings, because this house is where a farm should be. Okay, you see he's dropping military, he's attacking archers and a military school so far. I would do men-at-arms and archers. Pure men-at-arms and archers, don't even worry about spears. So once again, my issue is eco upgrades. There we go. Wheelbarrow's coming out. I say wheelbarrow. You want to drop a lumber camp and get double broad axe. I say this because your eco is so good early on that you should take advantage of that eco by then getting eco techs, which make your eco even better. So you need a lot of wood, so double broad axe is great. And the simple rule of thumb is if you have 8 or more vills on a resource, you should get its eco upgrade. But you should always get wheelbarrow. Let's be a little bit more active with the scout. Search, get around his entire base and see what else production he's dropping. So right now this tells you archery range and 2 military schools. I'm guessing that's Sipahi, very slow Sipahi and archers. You should just purely outproduce him here, honestly. Your eco is already way better. Your income per minute is a lot better than his overall. But you want to see everything he has, especially because at some point, if you push back, you want to know where could his villagers be. You want to scout his whole back of his base and see where potential resources are. You want to uncover the map during this time period. Like this little wall here, it's nice. I'm gonna get arrow defense since you saw he's making archers. But you need way more food. Okay, now we're going on deer. It's good. Please, these long range mining is costing you over time. Just drop the mining camp, drop the lumber camp. Like they should not be walking. They should just be turning and dropping off. We're gonna go on deer, get survival techniques. And this is also when we want to start soft adding farms. Like you have plenty of food, but this is whenever you have an extra 75, pull a villager off food and drop a farm. Just do it slowly. Just start doing a slow add of resources, of farms. That'll really help you out. Also, you could use more production. Yeah, I would do 2 archery ranges. 2 archery ranges, 2 barracks. Taking a while. It's the scouting. You have no idea what's happening here. Scout more. You would see he has 18 archers. You have 9, but you have more frontline. But the problem is your frontline is so much spears, which will die to his archers. Because again, this is why I was like, just don't make, like, really is HRE, the only time you can make spears in feudal is against, is honestly against, knight civs. Because your knights will kill your men-at-arms. But against civs that don't have knights, just do men-at-arms. Unless he has a lot of Sipahi, but he doesn't. You saw no Sipahi drop. It was just 2, it was just an archery range and 2 military schools, so very slow Sipahi. Once again, the lack of scouting, you just don't know what he has. So you're walking blind. When you could see what he has and react accordingly. Which is, I could fight that, but I need a few more men-at-arms. And a few more archers. And arrow, come on, iron under mesh. You desperately need iron under mesh. If you're ever going to push, iron undermesh is a must because, 1, he has archers. You negate a 1/6 of his damage. 2, it allows you to live under the town center faster. So already I can tell attacking without arrow defense is going to really hurt you here. Another thing you should do, as I said, 1 is continuously add farms, but you really needed this double broad axe earlier. And you should already have like 6 farms down. And more production. Catch on that. So this is a lot of archers. 36 archers out of 2 production buildings. And the reason he's able to do that is because he's consistently making like his blacksmiths give him speed boost on production, but 2, he knew what he wanted to make. He wanted to make a whole bunch of archers because he can use the Meter speed boost to really pump those up. But 2, you weren't as consistent, I guess I'm trying to say, with your production. You could have added more, and you put a lot of your wood into battering rams, where you could have had more farms, more production, had even more men-at-arms and archers. And once again, your lack of arrow defense, I think it's going to really cost you this fight here. This is a good picture, though. Oh man, and your men-at-arms without arrow defense are just melting. They're under TC. They're shot up by a bunch of archers. You needed way more men-at-arms. You needed men-at-arms that had the air defense, and then you need way more archers. Like, actually, the power of this build is your men-at-arms soak damage, but then you need to do what he does, where it's less about the men-at-arms and more about just a lot of archers. And I want you once again to notice your eco splits. 4 on gold is way too much on gold. Now you could be getting more upgrades, but honestly, it's just you didn't balance out your resources as you should have. And I wonder, yeah, he got all the eco techs, so that helped his eco catch up. Now your eco is still better because of the Aachen for now, but man, like, you kind of wanted to fight but also slowly improve your eco till you have a bunch of farms, and then you're just pumping units. But the lack of the lack of archer mass and the lack of upgrades to make your men at arms tankier is what cost you this fight here. Because honestly, you should be able to fight Ottoman and Feudal and win. I need to take advantage. I need to take a picture of the lack of arrow iron undermesh. And that's the Ottoman playstyle. You just get a bunch of archers, which with your eco, you could have a bunch of archers. And now look how many production buildings you're adding. Because you realize, I do not have enough production. No. So the problem is, if you're meeting him with the same mass amount of arms, your men at arms win. If you're meeting him with the same mass amount of arms with iron undermesh, you win. You actually need to pivot into archers, because now you need to just sit your archers by your TC and then fight under your TC for the extra defense. But now his archers can see it'll be really hard to get the mass amount of arms needed to fight this. Still no iron undermesh. If he just kited this, he wouldn't lose any archers. No, don't make Spearman. Spearman will just insta-die to his archers. Horseman archers also could have been a great comp here. You make a lot of horsemen with how good your food eco is. The lack of the air defense, man. If you had air defense, they could take, because I know they're doing 6, right? You have 120. So right now they're taking what? They're taking 3 damage a pop. Oh no, let me do my math here. So 3 damage a pop. 120 divided by 3. That's 40, so taking 40 shots. If you reduce that to 2, that's 60 shots. So you basically could have added 20 more shots per man at arms if you just got arrow defense. That's how important arrow defense is against range masses. Like, that's why whenever I coach, I always tell people, your most important upgrade if you're being aggressive is iron undermesh, because the best defensive unit is archers. So you could have tacked on 20 more shots, which for a volley of 30 archers, that's a whole nother volley, which is a very important time to buy when it comes to fighting melee onto infantry. That's also why getting a horseman here would have been great, because they would have closed gap better. But even a massive amount of arms could have done a lot of work. But the problem is that once again, your initial attack, you didn't scout what he had, and you attacked without knowing what he had, and then that's why you lost. So my biggest thing in here is, 1, make sure you're getting your key upgrades. That'll make you successful. If you're in attack, see what he has and ask yourself, what do I need? Will help me win this fight. 2, scout. Scout. What does he have? What is he looking at? Before you attack, scout. Can you win that fight? And 3, make sure you're balancing your eco for the thing you need, as well as using your bonuses. So as HRE, adding farms around the Aachen just makes your eco safe. It makes it really, really strong. Hope that was helpful, and for anyone watching, and good luck in your games. If you're interested in your own coaching, check out my links below the video, and thank you for watching.